This video is on Miss Peaches. Miss Peaches is absolutely wonderful. When I left Virginia and people were incredibly cruel, I tried going to Miss Peaches. She's a mother, though, and she also helps to care for a lot of people like I used to. And she had a pretty full house. She had Raja and Raja's dad and Abear and the kids and her mom and her. All in this little tiny place, an apartment off of Melody in Aurora, Colorado. And it was Christmas time. I'd already been threatened a few times in Boulder by this point. I really wanted to talk to Miss Peaches, but she couldn't, you know. She was gonna. That was the whole intent and purpose of me showing up. And I got food, and I got cigarettes. I made sure I contributed to the household. That was December of 2016. And let me tell you, most of the people who screwed me over, they're good people, and they meant well in what they did. They just didn't understand, and by the time they did understand, it was too late, or they were already embroiled and entrenched in cruelty. A lot of people who defended me were threatened and harassed, or had their Facebooks destroyed, and they blamed me for it. Sean, it's your fault. It's not my fault. I didn't sick those dogs on you. But Miss Peaches, she took it. And let me tell you how great Miss Peaches is. She needed to wind down, you know? Just like Amanda, just like me. For me, it's video games. For Amanda, it was Game of Thrones. For Lana, it was Dutch, that earthquake guy. For Miss Peaches and Raja, it's video games or Magic the Gathering. It's not Magic the Gathering anymore, they quit playing. But that's not the point. I went over to Miss Peaches a few times. She was the only person who was willing to make time. The only friend I had in the entire year that I was going through that hell over Miss Natalie. And those fucking rumors, Miss Peaches was the only one who was willing to make time, and she tried. She just couldn't. Each time I went there, I was there for a few days. It wasn't just Sean stops in for an hour and leaves. A couple of those days I intended it to be, but Miss Peaches was real busy. And then it becomes a public forum, because there's a lot of people there. I'm trying to tell Miss Peaches what's going on, and Abear, the asshole's got to have his fucking opinion. And then Raj's dad, he's got an opinion. And I never hardly get more than a sentence or two out before everybody else starts doing their thing, and I get quiet. I just want to scream at my top of my lungs, please, 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 can I have 10 minutes with Miss Peaches? Just 10 minutes. But I never screamed that. That's not appropriate, right? So, Miss Peaches was really trying. She just didn't understand. She didn't have the time to understand, but she was trying to. She was the only one. Everyone else was just Facebook typing. They weren't in real life. They weren't anything but words on Facebook or words in texting. And here I was separated from all of them because of things I couldn't I couldn't explain to them because they couldn't make the time. And I tried. I made Miss Jojo a hammer. That was my excuse to go over there to talk to them and try to tell them what was going on in person. And my first night there, Derek got into an argument with Jojo. And I was trying to explain what was going on, and he got all sorts of pissed off at me, was cutting me off and basically trying to do the trade stories thing. No, this is serious shit, dude. You know, I'm trying to get you to understand what it is that I'm going through, and I need you to stop making it about you if you're willing to help me. If you're going to say that you're willing to help me, and then you go out of your way to take the first thing that doesn't fucking connect properly because I'm fucking stressed out and I got 300 things going on at once, that's seriously a fucking severe panic attack right there. That is what autism is. For me, anyway. I'm registering what's going on. It just takes a while to process it because there's so fucking much going on. But Miss Peaches, she, you know, I had tried the police. I had tried Natalie. I had tried Alicia. I had tried Maddie. I'd tried Jojo. I tried Derek and Janine. Anything that I could do to try to get this shit to stop so I could go see my loved ones. I was separated from all of them. I was good to a lot of people. And a lot of people typed messages at me about what a great person I was and how wonderful I was to them. And that's fine and dandy. But that didn't stop these people from doing what they did, and it doesn't stop them from continuing to do it. They did everything that they could not to take a report from me. I had to break the law to try to force them to take a goddamn report. If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. And with all these people all telling me the same 10 numbers that they got off of the fucking TV. 5 numbers, whatever. People telling me where resources are that I already know where they're at. I only type 10 words per fucking minute in texting. So I'm begging these people to please call me. It'll save time. You know? And then there were times where I was stuck in a place where I couldn't speak. All I could do is text. And that's when people are like, well, why don't you just talk to text? I can't speak here. I'm in a public place. This is sensitive shit. I can't talk about it here. That's why I'm texting it. But that's the thing. You're at everybody else's will and mercy and their timetables and their abilities, their families. Because family does need to come first. I know what kind of a person my little brother is. He's a pretty shitty person. But I'd still die for the bastard. And I know what kind of a person my older brother is. My older brother, Rabbit, he's a good person. He's real fucking frilly and rough around the edges. He was the good looking one, which is kind of funny. I just wanted to be good to people, and I was. I was good to everybody. The only time I went and ripped somebody's ass is when I've got 400 people And it might not have been 400 people. It might have been 10 to 20 people that come in and complain about a situation. And I'm like, I'm tired of hearing about this. Sean, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you help me? Can you help me? Like, dude, I don't want to go bitch at Butterfly because she's on her period a week and a half ago and now her pants are getting moldy and they're light gray sweatpants, so it's really gross, and a lot of people are coming and telling me about it. I didn't want to have to go talk to her about that. But Miss Peaches, even with all that shit going on in my life, she was trying to make the time. And when Natalie finally put a light at the end of the tunnel and was going to meet with me, I wanted to meet at the police station. I didn't want to meet her at Starbucks. I mean, normally Starbucks would be the best place, but in this case, I mean, it should have been done at the cop shop. Between Natalie, the police, and I. So we could get that shit hashed out. But the police didn't care. They wouldn't listen to her. They wouldn't listen to me. She got shit all sorts of fucked up. That's because she was on drugs. And I was trying to explain this. She didn't understand what she was doing. I needed her to understand, just like I need her sister to understand. What they did to me, I had no other recourse but to speak out about their predators. I'd tried going to the police, I'd tried going to them. Please, fucking talk to me. Stop and talk to me instead of just automatically talking over me and accusing me of being a person that I'm not. Instead of assuming what you think that I would do and going and running around and saying, I think he would do this. While these people are accusing me of doing these things. I would not do those things, and I did not do those things. And Miss Peaches knows it. And she knows how the police work. And you know what? A lot of the police didn't have nice things to say about the Boulder Police Department, including Adams County detectives, Jai Rogers and Mark Peterson. But I needed them to fucking write that down. I needed them to be honest about the things that were said and done. They needed to record all of that shit. All of these officers should have recorded this. The things that were going on are things that you would logically want to record. These are things that if you are not doing anything wrong, you want recorded. Especially if it's a fucking murder case like it was with Natalie. And this was a fucking joke to so many people. And a lot of people pretended to care and did such wrong, harmful things thinking they were going to make it better. No! I need the cops to do their goddamn jobs! And I need your help to make them do it! If you are there, there is no way to stop them from doing exactly what it is they do to the homeless. To people whose guilt they've assumed. These cops played judge, jury, and executioner. The things that they wrote down are only the things that they could use to try to make it look like I was a terrible person. Never mind the fact that when I was talking to them, I was explaining to them that I was trying to get them forced to wear body cameras. So that they couldn't do exactly what it is that they did. The exact same thing that I have seen hundreds of police officers do to homeless people. And you fuckers don't care. Zade Atkinson in a house. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV in a house. Darren O'Connor in a house. Michelle Rodriguez. Now she's got her own roof too. You guys are not understanding that they have what was taken from me over things I didn't do. My money, my roof, my tools, my belongings, all taken from me. And justified because Natalie died. Because Natalie was dead, it was justifiable to steal my things. I'd been going through hell for over a fucking year over shit I didn't do. And Miss Peaches is the one who gave me a ride to go meet Natalie that day. When it wasn't her, it was a protection order. And you can see the messages between us. I was concerned for her because she was going to try to speed to get there. But she was lying outright. This after her ex-boyfriend who abused the fuck out of her. He's calling me and threatening me and being an asshole. I'm trying to be nice to this guy, but if he's going to threaten to fucking kill me, do it, bitch. Don't talk about it. Fucking do it. If I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you with time, and you're going to spend a lot of it sitting and thinking about what you did. You don't like me saying these terrible things to you, do you? But these are the things that were said to me. And you don't like it. You have no idea how many times I was assaulted or called a child molester, knowing that Ted was the one who did those things and Tim did those things. I was trying to tell Miss Peaches what was going on. She just couldn't make the time. She's a fucking mom, dude. But one extra day at her place after Natalie died, I could have done everything that I needed to do in that state and gotten the fuck on a bus out of there to somewhere safe. But I knew that if I did that, they were just going to assume that I was trying to flee state. Trying to make me look guilty. I needed to get it recorded, and I did get it recorded. Cara Mia did that because I didn't know how. And that's the problem with Cara Mia, is I need that evidence. People don't want to show the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, because it shows what they did wrong. They're assumptions. Because they all assumed, because I'm autistic, they know better than me. And that their assumptions are more right than listening to someone who was there. Miss Peaches couldn't take me in, but she really tried her best to help me as best as she could, when she could. She's the only person out of everyone who wasn't completely full of shit. But with all of the court dates I had and all of the running around I had to do, plus having to try to get some sort of roof over my head, food in my belly, people aren't understanding that all of my money has already gone to the courts. All of my money went to the courts until the day that I lit that fire at Ken and Leah's to force an outside agency to take a look. I went to the most fucked up places and endured the most fucked up bullshit. And there's a lot of people who have been through it, but you won't listen to their stories either, but I took screenshots. I got Missy Richards' story. I got Mandy Hughes' story. Mandy Singer's story. I got a lot of stories. We all been through a lot of abuse, folks, and y'all look away, or you tell us we wanted it, needed it, deserved it. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of us who've been through the ringer and been through the system. I meet people everywhere. People who know. Are like, yeah, nobody listens to me. I know nobody listens to you. I'm trying to give you a voice. A lot of these people who ditched me, who threw me away, I was trying to give them a voice too. But they had to get pissed off at me to find their voices. Now they're pissed off. Now they've gone through 1/100th of what I've gone through. Not even that. The ways that they told me not to be with everything I was going through, when they just get a taste of it, they get worse than me. Just one tiny taste. The difference is, I tell true stories. So people get pissed off because I told the truth about them. These aren't bad people. These are people who do fucked up shit because they're desperate. And some people have different levels of desperation. For me, this right here is actually a luxury. It's because of good people. Since I got out of jail, it's just been good people who've been keeping me afloat. Not even afloat, but just where they can. Miss Peaches is one of those people. She didn't have money. She had her picture taken and had it put in the newspaper, and they never took her statement. She tried. She was the one who took me there, and I ended up getting the protection order. And I never looked at it. I didn't look at it from the 16th when it was handed to me until when I was at Candace's. That was after I got out of Boulder County Jail, after Officer Lola Ty assaulted me. You know who came to see me? Miss Peaches. When Ken and Leah ripped me off, that was only a couple of weeks before, well, when I left their house for Miss Peaches, it was actually a couple of weeks after the protection order. I went to Miss Peaches on the 26th. That's the day that I went from South Zuni to Hampton, across to Federal, went north on Federal until I hit 120th, took a ride on 120th until I got to the bus station there, and that's across the street from Melody. I went to Melody, and that's where Miss Peaches lived. And she was going to help me get a lawyer. And I got a hold of Shauna Sinclair to try to get her help. I mean, I really needed it. I needed her help with a GoFundMe, but her daughter had been stolen by her ex-husband. And, so she couldn't help. I made a video about that. I was asking for prayers because I knew it was the father who stole the baby. Not the baby, that's so rude. But it was her ex, the little girl's father, who had stolen her. So, I mean, but she got her daughter back. That was one of the posts that Rose M. Kelly started the harassment right there. Natalie was missing, and I'm the throat that they went at. I'd been trying to get an honest day in court. Miss Peaches gave me just enough money on the 16th to get back to Ken and Leah's, and Ken and Leah let me know they weren't ever going to pay me back, basically. That I had made the wrong choice by moving out of low income in Nebraska and moving in to Ken and Leah's. I should have done the opposite. I should have moved everything up to low income in Nebraska, but I wanted to see my loved ones. I wanted to be closer to my loved ones. Through all of this, Miss Peaches she was wonderful. She didn't understand, especially to begin with, because she hadn't been able to make the time to listen to what was going on, just like Pierre, just like Joanna. But the difference is Miss Peaches had tried. Miss Peaches still tries. She knows that I'm telling the truth. I was at her house when I found out Natalie was missing. I'd gone to her house because I needed a lawyer. And no, the GoFundMe wasn't for a lawyer, it was for land. But instead, Candace made that GoFundMe because I didn't know how. I needed someone to help me. I'd tried before. It was fucking complicated. And then Candace, she gave that GoFundMe to Karamia. And Karamia, she sent out a bunch of really nasty messages about me because of what Candace had said. Candace only showed one part. She didn't show all of it by a long shot because it shows how fucked up a thing she did. She should have come forward. I understand why she's scared of the cops. I understand why she moved out of Haxton, Colorado just shortly after that. Yeah, that's right. Candace had to move. Miss Peaches moved too. And the place that she moved into, she was not able to have me because it would get her evicted. But she was telling me right after I lit that fire at Ken and Leah's last August to try to force the police to take a look. After I lit that fire, just by a few hours, because I lit the fire, I was going to Nebraska. I turned around and went and saw Miss Peaches at work at the 29th Street Mall. And that's when she told me she was thinking about having me just pay a bill or two and letting me stay there, having both the boys stay in the same room and having me stay in the other room. I'd already lit the fire. You know, just a couple hours earlier, she could have told me that. It would have made all the difference in the world. I'd been through hell between Lexi Woods and Tim Cosick. These are two homeless people I know. Both of them ended up getting into housing. Tim Cosick, he was all stuck on meth. I stayed there one night, slept on his carpet, and was like, oh my god, I just slept on a meth head's carpet. I mean, he's a good guy. He's in housing. He's an addict. I got my housing taken away, and I'm not an addict. So I went from Tim Cosick's. Went and saw Selena Maestas, and then after I saw Selena Maestas, we talked about one of Natalie's ex-boyfriends, Justin Ward, a little bit. She went to school with him. And then from there, I was supposed to go to Lexi's, but the boyfriend who had beaten her up just a week earlier, and just 2 weeks before that, and had protection orders. He was there. He showed up in between when she invited me, and when I was on my way and my phone died shortly after she said no, I was worried about Miss Lexi. I just wanted to die. That's all I wanted. And I couldn't find Macintosh Dairy because my phone died. And Alicia Bollinger's ex-boyfriend taught me how to do that. That's when I ran into Federal. See, they tried saying that I was posting on Facebook threatening stuff. I wasn't. Posting up that I was going up Federal because it was close to her house and it was going to scare her. Well, she lived a couple of minutes drive from Federal. I was going to Federal to go see Miss Peaches. I didn't even know Natalie was in fucking Colorado. I didn't know she was in Colorado till after she was dead. I had to ask. Nobody knew. I asked Brett Roloff, Moose, one of the guys I was going to see when I went to Virginia to see Miss Natalie as well. He was in jail, so I didn't get to see him. It would have been nice, though. He's going through his own personal hell right now, too. And I got a hold of Sarah Rubiolo. She's another young woman I helped to find. I didn't even know Sarah's name until she was on a wanted poster, or on a missing persons poster. Same thing with Hannah Pendergrass, but that shit scares me. Natalie, she was fucking high risk. You got no fucking goddamn clue. I never been more scared for anyone than I've been scared for Natalie. I knew what she had in her life. I knew about Tim, I knew about Ted, I knew about Troy. I knew about the things they did. When I was being abused for the things that they did, I was trying to get help. I was seeing a fucking therapist over that shit. All over a misunderstanding over a phone. And if I was able to get Alicia in court, she would have to admit to those things, because those are the questions that I would ask. And people would see that I'm telling the truth. Miss Peaches went through hell. Not even close to the same hell as me, but we all have our own personal hells, right? I always tried to work through everything. Miss Peaches knew that. I was trying to work through shit with Miss Natalie so that she could come forward and tell the truth. Or Maddie and come forward and tell the truth. Of course, by the time Maddie's name was dropped off of the rumors, I already knew it was too late. Those young women, they didn't understand what a terrible thing they had done. How drastically their decisions had impacted my life. I mean, Alicia knew how fucked up that telephone was. Natalie knew how fucked up that telephone was. There's a reason that Natalie was using a different phone, and her different phone was fucked up too. That's how fucked up the phone that I got for my birthday was. I was grateful for it. It had MapQuest on it. Alicia's boyfriend showed me how to use it. And I was grateful for that too. I was grateful for Miss Peaches trying to make the time. I was grateful for Shannon trying to help and helping me how she could. I understand the limitations that she is dealing with. I was an alcoholic once too. And I took care of people when I was an alcoholic as well. And I went to work. And I made sure my little brother and sister were fed. That's what I did. That was my life. Miss Peaches has been good to me. She stuck with me through all of this shit. And a lot of her help was a day late and $1 short and should have been a year earlier. But she was trying to make a report. I was trying to make a report. Aaron Cockerham was trying to make a report. Mandy Hughes was trying to make a report. So was so many people. The police wouldn't. They refused. And I taped that. I also taped our conversations about what happened with each one of them individually. And I got most of them to admit to the truth. Most of them came around and admitted I was the one that was being honest. Eventually. They just got to let their anger swell down a little bit because with all these people, it wasn't until when I was nice, you notice, when I was nice, they couldn't do nothing, couldn't do nothing, couldn't do nothing, couldn't do nothing, couldn't do nothing. When I was an asshole, they tried. Or they got defensive and disappeared, which is fine too, because they weren't doing anything anyway. Except Miss Peaches, who was trying the best she can with her limitations. All of the money that was given to me should have gone to Miss Peaches. All of it. All of that money should have gone to Miss Peaches to be my caretaker, just like Amanda is for her mother. See, Miss Peaches is capable of learning. She understands me, and she loves me for who I am. Who it is that I choose to be. Miss Peaches is wonderful. Now, her snapping at me, way back when it first started, it was a very stressful situation, and I understand why she was snapping. And I understand why she was getting extra snappy when I started snapping. I needed her to listen, though, and she was under a high-stress fucking situation. And here's this dude who keeps coming over trying to tell you something, and you don't have time, and now, holy fuck, she's disappeared. Like, yeah, what the fuck would you do? She was freaking out, too. We were all trying to find her, while her family was busy calling me a stalker on my Facebook after I had tried to get them to understand what was happening to me and put a stop to it. I even tried to get a hold of Natalie's mom and ask her to put a stop to it. And yes, I have screenshots of that. It's still on my Facebook. And my Facebook is on lockdown right now because hackers are on it again doing some fucked up shit. Miss Peaches tries to make time when she can because she loves me. She knows how fucked up a situation it is, and she started realizing how much, oh my God, most of these people, I never went to them. I never needed their help. So they didn't understand, a lot of them had never seen me freak out. Natalie disappearing, yeah, that fucking freaked me out. And these people couldn't handle it. Everything that they did was fucking wrong. People don't understand what sensory overload is or how easy it is to fucking overpower somebody who is having a sensory fucking issue, or how easy it is for us to break you guys in half on accident because you didn't keep your nasty cockbeaters to yourself because you were paranoid because you were adding to the stress. You don't put your hands on somebody who is fucking freaking out. Like when Crystal Beauchamp was trying to tell the police that a police officer had raped her and they fucking slammed her down on the ground. Skiffed up half of her face. But you know, Miss Peaches used to be out there on the streets too. She knew the street kids. She knew the life. She already knew a lot of the bullshit that I was going to go through. She already knew it because she'd, same as me, seen it hundreds of times with hundreds of different people. Just because they're homeless. Miss Peaches is a good woman. And unlike most of these people, she actually put an effort in to keeping her word. That one day at her house, right after Natalie disappeared, that one extra day at her house would have made all the difference in the world. And she can't make up for that, and she shouldn't have to. She's been trying to make up for it, and a lot of people did a lot of really fucked up things that she shouldn't have to carry that burden, but neither should I. Neither should have Natalie. We are your burdens because we're good people. With Natalie, I don't know what it is that makes Pierce say that she's evil. He never told me. But she wasn't evil to me unless she did all this shit on purpose. Her dad never should have done what he did. To rape your own daughter. Like, oh my God. A lot of the women who were on my side, and a lot of the men, matter of fact, as well, I got their stories. There's a reason that they're still there. It's because they went through a lot of the same things. They're like, Sean, I know you're telling the truth. I know everybody turns their back. You tell them how fucked up a situation it is, and it's so complicated, and they're so busy talking and wanting to share stories, and you're like, no, you're not understanding what is going on here. This isn't some dude with a ray gun behind a garbage can shooting me with government technology. This is a bunch of people with simple motives, simple wants, simple desires, their own pride, their own sense of pride, their own understandings of the world. Chelsea Worthing should have come forward. But she wanted to stay friends with Katie, who was one of those people who was fanning the flames. And then there's Megan Christie. She was doing a lot of meth with Brock. He was the one who gave Andrew Witcher meth to go to work, to get him to work. But Megan cleaned her life up. She's been sober. She's been doing good. I was going to try to buy her house in Chapel, Nebraska. She wanted $7,000 cash. I was hoping to save that up, but all of my money after Natalie died that was supposed to go to saving up for property, it got spent on going to court dates. I needed that telephone. People were asking for that telephone. Evan Daka, he's like, we kept our word. You need to go get that telephone. When he was saying they kept their word, they're talking about Jaylyn being my advocate. Jaylyn would not be my advocate. I spoke with her. He didn't understand that I needed him to talk to me, not to text me. This is too much stuff to type out, sir. I'm overwhelmed with texting. Please take 5 minutes to listen. Instead of 2 hours of texting, what the fuck is wrong with you? But Miss Peaches stuck with me. Best she could, very limited time. Got her own problems. And then she had a lot of problems because of what happened to me. What happened to Natalie. That put strain on a lot of people who didn't deserve it. A lot of people who didn't even know Natalie. Those are the people. The thing is, I never got to defend myself. Everybody was so busy talking. I started posting on Facebook for a reason. The first 6 months after Natalie died, after I left Virginia, I'm sorry, that was a year earlier. The first 6 months after I left Virginia, I was fucking nice. I was trying to get Maddie or Natalie or Alicia just to talk to me and to listen and to hear my side of it instead of just assuming the worst because people are doing fucked up shit over your assumptions. I need you to understand what fucked up shit people are doing over your assumptions. Let me explain to you what was going on. What they already knew. It was just on drugs. I exposed everybody like I said I would. I speak out like I said I would. I should have been allowed an honest day in court. The Constitution should have applied to me the same as it applies to the rich. It doesn't though, now does it? A public pretender gets paid whether they win or not. They take overwhelming caseloads. There's no possible way they can defend their clients. Although close to 80% of the people that are in the jails should not be in there. They're in there because their public pretenders won't do anything. So they sit and rot and lose everything over bad cops. But they all know it works that way, so does Miss Peaches. We all seen it with our own two eyes. I know what the ground feels like. I know what it feels like to get tackled.